bringing you journal inspiration, stickers and playful creativity. Today's video is part of the Junk Journal January challenge, where there's a different video for every day. It's hosted by Meg Journal, so thank you for having me, Meg. And my prompt for day 18 is borders. So instead of doing one journal spread inspired by the prompt borders, I decided to bring you this video which has 5 different ideas for borders that you can make in your journal. Starting with the simplest one, which is a washi tape border. I always think that making a washi tape border around your page is the best way to get past the blank page stage. It gives you a colour scheme and it just adds some detail, and the idea of this is to just grab some washi tapes, maybe some you wouldn't usually use together, and overlap them, layer them around your page to get the page started, and you can fill the middle with whatever you like, but this is a great way to start it off. This is definitely the simplest, quickest and easiest idea of this video, and I challenge you to just grab 2 or 3 washi tapes now and make a border out of them and see what inspires you to make. The second journal border idea I have for you is a quote border, and a quick side note to tell you what kind of inspired this idea. It has to do with my 2024 calendar. Yes, a little bit of self-promo, but this is my first video of the year and you're probably the perfect people to show this calendar to. So this is my 2024 journal inspiration calendar with a journal spread for every month and a journal prompt for every month. And the January page of this calendar actually features a journal spread that I made for the Junk Journal January challenge last year, so a bit of a full circle moment. It had a quote that I decided to use as my inspiration for the year instead of a resolution, so I made January's prompt to choose a quote to be your focus for the year, which led me to having this idea for a journal border where you pick a quote and make it the border of the page, like write it all the way around the outside. And I have my sister to thank for the inspiration behind the quote I'm going to use for this example. She made this journal spread when she was around my house and she found this poem somewhere about New Year's. It says, "New beginnings and fresh starts don't need midnight to prevail. A renewed shift blossoms when you decide to exhale," which I thought was so nice, and I kept thinking about it and I was like, I want to use this for my border. So I started with some paper and some washi tape first just to add a bit more colour, and then I lettered the quote around the outside and outlined it. I will show you an example in a minute as well, where the border is more just the actual quote, but this one I kind of did a little bit of collage around it because I couldn't help it, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you like it as well. Is my first attempt at a quote border, which I feel like is really cool, but it definitely gave me ideas for how I could do this better, and I feel like there's so many experiments you could do with styles of lettering. You could choose any quote that inspires you, or kind of write a list around the outside of things. There's a lot of options going on here, so I didn't just do one quote border. Like I said, I also tried another. So for the second attempt I moved over to this is what I call my rustic journal. It's where I put anything that I feel like belongs on brown paper, so like anything rustic to do with old taverns, to do with like historical books, or I went to a Viking festival, I put that in there. Anything to do with Lord of the Rings, for some reason I just feel like it belongs on brown paper, so that they all go into here. I will have to show you more of my rustic journal at some point. But for this quote border attempt number 2, I really wanted to write down a quote from The Hobbit, so I've decided to kind of do my best. I was going to say Lord of the Rings-esque font, but that's probably giving it a bit too much credit. It's not really Lord of the Rings font, but it's like the font that I feel like belongs in this journal. So I really wanted the letters themselves to be more of the border here instead of adding washi tape and stuff, but I did put some extra doodles around the edge to finish it off as well. Doodles that I thought looked kind of elvish. So there we go, there's a second version of how a quote border could look in your journal. I think I personally like this one a little bit better, but I also really like how different they are because it makes me realise how many versions of a quote border there could be. So hopefully that gives you inspiration for how you could do a quote border in your journal in your own way. The third border idea I have for you is more of an illustrated border idea. It's a map border. If drawing a map around the outside of your page sounds like it would be really tedious and complicated, it's not, I promise. I literally just coloured in the outsides of the pages and doodled some little mountains, some little trees and some little rivers. They don't even look that good, but once you outline them all in black pen and then draw some kind of grid lines between them, it just starts to all come together. If this isn't for you and you want a more truthfully junk journal version of it, I think it would be so cool, and I kind of want to do it myself, to collect like old maps or scans of maps and collage those around the outside of a page. I think that could be a really cool version to try as well. The fourth border idea has to be my favourite. It's the Stickerbomb border. This is where my maximalism can truly shine. So here I have a pile of what I call my sticker graveyard. These are sticker sheets from my shop that have ripped slightly in the corner or cut slightly off, or for whatever reason I haven't been able to actually stock them in my shop and send them out in orders. So instead I've added them to my sticker graveyard pile. I use them to decorate envelopes for orders, use them in my own journals, things like that. But they are about to get well used today in this border idea. So I started with a bit of washi in the background first, as you can see, just to make sure that the background wasn't completely white, but you don't have to do that. And then just add more and more and more stickers and never ever stop until you have a border that you really like. It doesn't even really have to have a theme. I think the more random the better. And this makes such a fun border, but it also is a really good excuse for like using up the last few stickers on a sheet, which means that you can get yourself more stickers, which I'm always an advocate for. There are obviously loads of fun ways you could take this with different sticker themes or styles, different colour schemes. You could also just carry on and sticker bomb the entire page, which I do sometimes. But I also think this is really nice for livening up a page which is just going to be heavily writing. Like you could just write plainly in the middle of this and it would still look awesome because of the border. And now for the fifth idea, which is the patchwork border. I'll be working in my Harry Potter or Hogwarts journal. Do not stand for anything that J.K. Rowling stands for, but I am inspired by the Wizarding World. So I've collected some gift wrap and pattern paper and some bits that I had from the Warner Brothers studio tour, and I've simply cutting them into squares. I love patchwork in my journal, and if you haven't seen all of the different patchwork spreads that I made for Messy May, then I'll definitely link those down below for you to check out. But this is more of just a patchwork border. So it's basically just tiling the squares around the outside in a little mosaic. And then that's it really. I've put some washi tape on as well, which I think looks really cool, but it's definitely taken up most of the page. And I can't believe it, but I actually forgot to add the finishing touch, which is to draw in some fake little stitches between these to make it look like it's sewn fabric. It looks really cool, trust me. I'll have to go back and do it now. But this has loads of opportunities. You can just use any scraps that you have in any theme to make a quick patchwork border, and I always think it looks good even though it's so easy. So there we go, those are my journal border ideas. I hope you like them. I hope one or more of them has inspired you. Feel free to make them your own, combine them. I'd love to see what you do, so please tag me if you make anything. And enjoy the rest of the challenge. There's a video for every day. There's so many amazing creators in this challenge. So thank you again to Meg Journals, and I'll list the Junk Journal January playlist below. So until next time, happy journaling. Bye!